You're mistaking your empathy for what things cost. You're mistaking that for being a good trait. You're thinking that you're doing them a favor, but you're like, you know what, I'm really conservative, I have empathy. But in reality, it's not a good trait.
All right, Alex, so on this episode, you and Spencer get to make fun of me for how shitty of a producer I am at a dental office, so this should be pretty fun.
Okay.
Yeah, right? I mean, not surprising.
Yeah.
But no, so when we talked last time, Spencer kind of briefly mentioned, he's like, we should like do something where like I kind of show you what I actually do with people to help them produce more. And I was like,
Do like a live coaching call.
Yeah.
Ooh,
and I like fit, I feel like his demographic of who could use his services. So we were like, okay, let's do it. So then he had sent me kind of the form he uses. I filled it out, and we figured we would just kind of live go through today and just go through what he does and give me pointers, and then we'll have to do a follow up and see if it.
You're gonna follow through? You think?
I mean, I kind of have to. I'm on the spot now. Otherwise, it looks bad. But yeah, thanks for coming back on, Spencer. We missed you.
Yeah, I'm proud of being here on this episode of Don't Produce Like a Sissy.
Yeah.
Best title ever. Yeah.
That's what we'll have to do for it. Nice. All right. So let's just go into it then. All right. So I sent you that form. Mm-hmm. I'll let you go.
Yeah. Couple things here that I'm seeing, but obviously we just have to point out that you're not that focused on production lately. You are a quick start. You're all over the place. You've got new businesses that you're doing. I hear that you have a new podcast that you're doing. I don't know. That's what people are saying.
Spinoff. You're part of the spinoff. It's we're kicking out Alex.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of people who come to me and they're like, "Hey, help me produce more." They're a lot more just like dialed in on the office, but you've got a lot on your mind. You've got a lot on your plate, and you've partnered with a DSO so that they can like take over a lot of stuff for you. So, we're keeping all that in mind, and I'm giving you that grace. Fair enough?
Yeah.
Well, that's nice of you, Spencer. I don't give him that grace. I'm like, come on.
There's still a job.
Yeah.
No, but that's still. I think this will still be good though, because then it'll be some kind of low-hanging fruit things I can do, and we can kind of talk through it all.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure. So, first off, how do you feel you are as a producer?
I feel like ever since graduating, I don't think I've ever been strong as a producer, right? Even when I was in the military and doing that, I wasn't like the top producer, because they would track our numbers, right? Like how much production, we don't get paid, right? It's just a salary, but they would track our numbers, how many crowns we did, how many things we did, and like let us know our like their version of like what the number was we did in production. And I never was at the top of it. And then when I was with you a little bit at Columbine too, at the first office, you probably per hour always outproduced me too. And so, no, I don't think I've ever been strong as a producer.
So you're saying even in the military, you weren't very strong with your production, even though it was completely covered for all your patients?
Yeah, I think that was just out of school. So I think I always went more towards your anti big filling mantra, where it was, I think I focused more on, I don't want to have to do a crown and do all this on the patient. Like, we can probably get away with the big filling. That'll be fine. And that'll hold them long
That's
enough.
super interesting because a lot of people do that when they want to save the patient money and they want to avoid having that difficult, treatment plan presentation. So that's really interesting. I don't think that I've ever really like talked about this with anybody before. It's like you feel the need to be like ultra conservative just because it's like ingrained in your soul, like you need to take away less tooth structure. Do you think that's what it is?
Yeah.
Is it that, or is it more like I don't want them to give them bad news? Like, even though there's no like monetary value for them, like that this is like going to cost them anything, but it's still worse to get a crown than a filling. Like, you just put that in your head, even though they don't even know what that is. Like, there's no difference to them. They still have to come
Do
and
you
sit in
see
the
a
chair.
crown as being worse? Do you see a crown as being
No.
bad news?
Uh, no, I don't think so. It's
Okay.
not like a skill. Like I'm not. It's. I don't think it's like a confidence thing because I'm fine. I'd rather
No,
do
no,
a crown. I'd
yeah,
rather do a crown
you're
prep
good.
than have to do like an MOD, right?
Yeah.
Like I think it's just easier. It's more straightforward. Maybe it's like in. Maybe it's an inherently cheap thing. Me, I think I've always valued everything on like price, and so for me,
Yeah.
it's always been um, how much does this thing cost, right? I think how I was kind of raised, it was value was always based on how cheap something was and how you could do it for the least amount possible. So like, if it was getting a car fix, oh, I got it, but it was only this much, or I got this, but it was only this much. So I think I've always had ingrained in me this concept of cheap is always best. The
Wow.
least you pay, the best. So then I think for me, if it's like a filling is a fifth of the cost of a crown. So I'm like, oh yeah, then do the filling then. I don't want to do the crown because then it costs more for them. And I don't know if it's actually, is it really like 5 times better? So I think I'm going back to maybe like money.
Hmm.
Does that make sense, Ryan?
Wow, yeah, you're thinking in a way that I think a lot of times with what you just said. If a crown costs 5 times as much, even if it doesn't cost the patient anything, is a crown 5 times the value and a benefit to the patient than a filling would be? And if that answer is no in your brain, you're automatically going to a filling. That's super interesting, Eric, because like in dental school, we all have to propose how much treatment costs, even though it's a third or a fourth of the cost of what it would be at private practice, right? And so then we exit dental school as if all of a sudden we're charging just this insane amount of money to people because we're used to quoting people $500 for a crown. We're used to quoting $100 for a filling or $80 or something like that. $60 for an extraction. Then all of a sudden it's 400 for an extraction. All of a sudden it's 350 for a filling. We're feeling like anxiety. Whereas our bosses are just like, no, that's just what it is. And if you want to get paid your 30%, you better be doing, better be charging full price. Something is in your brain, Eric, of where you're
There's
feeling
oh
like
good,
you're.
there's something in my brain. Sweet.
I didn't say something is in your head,
Oh
space.
yeah.
I said,
Yeah.
I said something is in your mind to where you're tweaking it. And I'm not a psychologist or anything, and so I can't really help you with that. But it's just really interesting to see like the story that you're telling in your head. That's the common denominator of what people have is we always have a story in our mind, and just because we have that story doesn't make it truth. However, if I look in the mirror and I'm just like I've got a fat belly, and I'm gonna think I have a fat belly, but if everybody else looks at me, they're just like, no, you don't. You're fine. It doesn't matter what they say because it all matters what I think is what's in my head because that's my new truth. And so when the way that we assess ourselves and we assess our profession and everything that we're doing in production, we're telling ourselves stories to where it's affecting how people are perceiving us and either um, rejecting or accepting what we're telling them. And I think that the challenge for you will be to just treat things as they are. It's almost like if I gave you a study book and I said, "Hey, Eric, here's a study of all the treatment that needs to be done. If you see X, then you need to treatment plan Y." It's almost like you need to reset what the studies show, right? Um, based on what is best dentally rather than what the story is in your mind of, ooh, maybe this is something where I think it's more worth their money. Am I making sense, Eric?
Yeah. Yeah, that does make sense. Because I think maybe I tend to, or maybe other dentists too, will see too like we'll go too far in like the gray area of it versus just focusing on, like you said,
Hmm.
if you see a premolar tooth and it's got crack lines on the mesial and distal, you're not going to do an MOD filling. You're going to do a crown, right? Especially if they clench or grind. Like you see this, you do this. And I think sometimes in my head, I'll see that and then I'll know, I'll be like, yeah, this probably should get a crown. But then like something will switch and I'll be like, but could I get away with could you get away with a filling, right? Could they do this?
Does
And
that
then
really go through your head? Like, do you, like I, because I
yeah,
don't understand. So
yeah,
like,
Yeah, sometimes it does. I'm trying to think what I mean. Although yesterday it
Because
was
you've
pretty
gotten
good.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yesterday was pretty good. We did have a patient come in. She fractured like a lingual cusp on 12 and was a clencher.
Yeah.
And I didn't even think twice about it. I was like, this needs a crown. Like, no real decay on it, no other issues. It was like, you're not going to put a filling in that spot. It's not going to work. She needs a
Yeah.
crown. And I was just confident and did it. And we
Yeah.
ended up doing a same day
But you
crown
get
and
the
it
night guard
worked.
in there too.
Yeah, see, I
So
didn't.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But no, I think I'll talk myself out of it. I think I'll know that it needs a
Yeah.
crown, which I think everyone can agree is the best course of treatment for that. And then I'll figure out a way almost to talk myself maybe out of it and say, well, maybe I'll give them options and they can have options. But of course, everyone's going to trust
Yeah.
me as like the professional, so they're gonna do the same thing I would. They're going to pick the cheapest one, and like I do, like I know like certain family members, right? Like my dad, for example, he doesn't listen to it anyway, so this is fine. He doesn't listen to the podcast. But like when he's back in Indiana, when he goes back and sees the dentist, like and it's one of our classmates too, that like if they can do something for him, like if he has a crown come off, he's super happy if they can re-cement it. He gets mad if he needs a new crown. So he'll call me. He's like, "Oh yeah, they were really good. They just re-cemented it." Right? Like so I think
Yeah.
I've always had that like ingrained in my head is like what's the cheapest option or oh they didn't I don't want them to have to do a crown on it. They're just going to do a filling. And so like he gets like he'll get excited when he tells me that when he's back home like, "Oh yeah, they're good because they were conservative." And like that tends to I don't know if like that not just in dental but maybe like that concept has always been kind of ingrained.
You're mistaking your empathy for what things cost. You're mistaking that for being a good trait. You're thinking that you're doing
Yeah.
them a favor, but you're like, you know what, I'm really conservative. I have empathy. But in reality, it's not a good trait. Because what happens when a young dentist takes over for a retiring doc who just watches everything is they have
Alex
a
had this exact
whole
same thing
lot to
happen to her.
treatment plan.
Yeah.
They have a
Yeah.
whole lot to treatment plan, and there's just work galore, right? But it was because that old retiring dentist probably was A, too tired, B, just like content, right? Just let's just get paid off of hygiene and it still gives me something to do. Or C, just like maybe was not brave enough to really just talk about the true diagnoses of things. Or D, uneducated. So, um, the thing is, Eric, is in the past 4 weeks, you saw 24 new patients and you did 3 crowns. So I would expect to see probably 24 crowns or more. Not saying that you have to diagnose everybody with crowns, but when we get a new patient, it's usually somebody who doesn't just move into town and they've been regular for the past 6 months and they're just like ready to keep on with their conservative treatment. New patients oftentimes are people who just haven't been regularly seen over the past few years and they have some work to do, especially those broken down fillings, which we can't just refill once it hits a certain stage, right? So when I see that, Eric, and I see your production, because you're working about 8 days per month, does that sound about right?
Yeah.
You said 2 days a week, right?
Yep.
Okay. 2 days a week and doing 3 crowns. Do you feel like you're just doing exams and fillings most of your days?
If you like our podcast, check out Alex's newsletter, Just 2 Minutes. It's full of great advice, which makes sense considering it's her thoughts and not me sidetracking her every 2 seconds. You can subscribe at coupleofdentists.com. The link is in the show notes. Now, back to the pod. Oh yeah, it's either. I feel like a lot of it is. We've gotten hygiene off, which is good. We've finally been able to like offload that and get hygienicians, so that wasn't like a bottleneck anymore for like the last
So you've
couple
been doing
months.
some hygiene and some SRPs and stuff.
I've been doing a mix of. I feel like the schedule of last month has been a mix of new patients, limited exams, SRPs, fillings, and like multiple fillings in one appointment, and then a random, like you said, crown.
Okay. Okay. So my associates are both new grads from 22 and 23. Um, and one produced in 14 working days last month 200 and what was it? I just did payroll this morning. 275. It was 275,000 in 14 days.
Wow.
Jeez, adjusted.
He almost produced 20K a day. Insane, right?
Yeah.
My other associate, he just produced 190,000 in his 17 working days. He was a 2023 grad. And so basically, I looked at what was going on, and we have a direct correlation from when they, A, predictably and efficiently sell on the value of what a crown is. Not sell more crowns, but diagnose the appropriate number of crowns and sell them. What does it mean to sell dentistry? It means that we are convincing our patients to get the dentistry that they need. That's all it is.
Yeah.
And so when you're looking at it and you're dictating, should this be a crown or should it be a filling? In your own mind, you're probably dictating away from what the studies of what people are learning and talking about at CEs nowadays of what truly should be a crown versus filling. So I highly encourage you to just kind of be like, you know what? Maybe it is a better service to crown this tooth if, and then you spell out your 3 to 5 things of every time I see this, I'm going to crown it. Second thing that is predictable for them is their acceptance of ortho cases. Clear aligners. We don't use Invisalign. We use another company, which I like better than Invisalign. And so with my associate who just produced 190 in June, he had 5 ortho cases. And the month before that, he had like 6. And the month before that, he had 7 or 8. And he's just having a consistent ortho acceptance. And it is just massively increasing the amount of production he's doing and therefore take home that he's doing. So, Eric, your take home isn't nearly as good as what it should be because you're not approaching the day with, you know what? If I see things, I'm going to talk about it. And if I talk about it, I'm going to do it in an efficient way so that my patient feels the value and they don't want to get it done anywhere else but right here. So I know this is kind of like a hard thing to hear, but I hope that I'm like penetrating that kind of hard shell of experienced dentist, right? Once we get to a certain point, it's really hard for us to learn or to accept new things because we're kind of comfortable. And we think that wherever we are, that's where we're going to be, rather than continuing to go through a potential growth phase again. Um, when did you graduate dental school, Eric? 15?
13. 13.
13. Okay. So 12 years in. Can you learn anything? Can you improve? Can you get better? Of course. Of course. It's just is waking up with that humility of, you know what? I want to learn how to do better. And then it all starts from there, right? And so if we look at the numbers and it's 24 new patients and 3 crowns, that's something to where you could compare to, let's just say, let's just say the 10 doctors around you, around your office, if you were just all to have those two numbers compared to each other, even with those who are ultra conservative, I would say that that's on the low end, and that could definitely be improved because there's a lot of cracking amalgams. There's a lot of MODs with recurrent decay. There's a lot of those molars with a broken cusp that people are just building up with composite, but we all know what happens with those. And we're not replacing it with good, sturdy, reliable, awesome porcelain. So, I'm not here to just tell you I'm the crown king. Let's get crowns done. However, that is a really big thing to where if we just continue to look at crowns versus fillings that way, it's just going to continue to be mediocre or less than mediocre for us with our take home. Right. And so when a doctor gets out of dental school, when I graduated, the typical number was like 180, right? Come make no, it was 120. Come make $120 minimum or 20,000 minimum. And then it was kind of like 180 and recently it kind of feels like 180 to $200,000 a year is kind of the typical norm. And people are graduating with so much debt that they're trying to make less so that they can do income-based repayment so that they can pay less towards their student loans. Am I making sense with that?
Yes, we actually
Wow.
that there's someone that works with us. I think him and his wife was like I don't know if I don't think they're doing that necessarily, but I know there's things on like how repayment works and things like that.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
And you can almost feel like they want to make less so that they can pay less. Does that sound
Wow.
true?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's like when we got out of dental school where we had the benefits of food stamps and Medicaid because we're making nothing and we're taking all the debt, so we qualified for government benefits. And then we became a dentist and we got a license, we started working, and my wife goes, "Dang, we have to start paying for groceries now." And I said, "Yo, we are making over $20,000 a month versus getting several hundred dollars per month of food benefit."
Yeah.
We can't look at the little things. That's what people are saying when they're walking over dollars to pick up pennies, right? So we have this epidemic of dentists who want to make less so that they can pay less based on income-based repayment. Well, I say pay as much as you can. Just keep going because that is going to drive you. That's going to drive you to absolutely want to make a lot more money. Like, Eric, give me your bank account for 2 months. Just give me everything. I won't touch it, but I won't give you access to it. Now, when you look at what your personal wealth is, you're going to be like, oh, bleep, I've got to produce. And
Yeah.
then you're going to start thinking, where can I find this production? I'm not creating anything out of nothing. I'm not diagnosing stuff that doesn't need to be done, but I am on the hunt for everything that needs dental work, and I am efficiently telling people, "Hey, this is a problem. I don't think we should watch it anymore. It's time to do something about it and fix this problem. Let's get it done." I want to do it in a way that doesn't just buy you a couple years more with this tooth until you need to work on it. I want to give you as much time as possible. Well, doctor, how long does this crown last? Some people say 5 to 8 years, but I hope that this lasts you till the grave. That's what I say, Eric.
Yeah. No,
Some
that's good.
dentists say,
Yeah.
some studies show, 5 to 8 years for the zirconia, but I hope it lasts you decades. Say something like that to where it's
Mhm.
just like, okay, you know, and then that way, you feel confident, you feel good, and you're going to give them something epic. You're
All
going to
right. Well,
give them something amazing. Yeah,
yeah, let's go through this since I'm probably the patient. Like role play it a little bit where you're the crown king and
I'm
I'm
not
the
the crown
I know,
king. I
I
already
know.
said that.
The no, you're Spencer. You go into the room. I'm the patient, right? And say I'm the patient who is like how my dad is, where it's like I don't want to do a crown. I want to do the cheapest, easiest thing, right? Just
See,
fix it.
already, so he's already coming to, and I think he approaches this in real life, that you assume that every patient in there is going to be like your dad. That they're always going to be like opposition and all this other stuff. So it's like, oh, you're already retracting back. Like, oh, this is going to be the hardest situation for me to like have to convince them. So I'm
Yeah,
not
I mean,
even going to
I might come in with
try.
those preconceived notions. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
definitely true. But I wanted to see with Spencer when we do this, like, how do you respond if, let's say, we're going through and let's just do a couple different examples because I think this could help the listeners too, right? Anyone else who is struggling with like, how do I diagnose this? How do I do it
Sure.
confidently? How do I get them to say this? So, scenario one: someone comes in and on tooth number 30, which, if there's any non-dental listeners, is a molar on the back right of your mouth. Let's say that there's an old metal filling and maybe there's not decay on it, but there's some crack lines on it, and you're like, this needs a crown. All right, so what are you gonna say, Spencer, to the patient when you show them that intraoral photo on the TV?
Yeah, and to make it even harder, we're going to say that you are an existing patient who's been in my practice for 6 years and you've never said yes to any treatment before.
All right, let's do it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, Eric, I had my hygienist take this picture of this tooth on your bottom right. It's the earliest chomper you've ever had in your mouth. You got this when you were 6 years old. So I can see why it has even more wear and more issues. Most 6-year-olds are really bad at brushing their teeth, so that's why we have this huge filling on theirs. But this filling has served its life really well, but its life is over because you see how this brown spot and this big line are happening on this big picture here. Your tooth is ready to give up the ghost. So It's time to crown it. I don't think that you have much time left on it, not even until your next cleaning. But hey, I don't have a magic 8 ball to tell you exactly, how long it's going to last you, but it's showing me all the red flags. So you do need a crown, and then once we take out all of that silver mercury filling, we do put a new thing called a buildup on it before the crown. You don't need to worry about the details on that, but they'll give you a quote for that. Um, your tooth will be nice and purple, really pretty. Just kidding, Eric. No, it'll be white and it'll fit with everything else. And my goal is for you to never ever think about me when you're outside, meaning that tooth is going to feel like a normal tooth. You're never going to think, ah, that dang doctor, this feels weird. It's going to feel perfect. So sorry for the bad news. I know that, you've always said no to this, but this is pretty blatant to my eyes, and you need a crown now. What questions do you have for me, Eric?
Yeah, that'd be hard to refute. That's pretty good. Anything, Alex, on your end?
No, that sounds good.
Yeah, I think you did a good job of. I think where your skill on that is was really good on it is you never wavered in could it need this or you didn't give me an
No, no
opportunity
other
you didn't give me an
options.
opportunity to ask could we just do a filling. So like if I heard that like I did, I wouldn't even think I'm allowed to ask that question because it's not an option.
Exactly. You don't even have the opportunity to ask, but can't you just fill it? Because I just told you, this is cooked. It's
Yeah.
done. And the good news is it's still restorable. And I got you. There
Yep.
is a way to restore it. It's called a crown. I no longer can just replace it with another filling. It's time to cover the whole thing with porcelain. We've got the best technology for you. It's going to be awesome. Hey, good news is these usually cost 2 grand, but you have an insurance which is going to knock it down big time. But you know, uh, my friend up front is going to bring you the price, and you'll be able to see everything there.
All right.
But
So I
hey,
just I
hygienist, make sure that Eric comes in here. This is high priority. I would like it within the next month. I did see that I have some room on the schedule today, due to that cancellation. So, all right, Eric, thanks so much. It was good to see you today. Hey, hygienist, if he wants to do it today, could you num? Hey, thanks a lot. Okay, I'll see you. Right?
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, Alex, you used to do that
Yeah.
too, which you
Yeah.
would create that sense of urgency too if there is an opening, right?
In the
Like you said,
handoff,
yeah.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
obviously let the patient know that it was, yeah, hey, this has to get done. You have there's a time limit on it, but I'd speak to the, like, whoever, the coordinator, the assistant, to be like, hey, make sure we get this on our schedule like
Yeah.
really soon,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then all those other things.
Okay,
But yeah.
so here's a follow up because I'm trying to do this like live on where my head goes on what you're doing because everything you're saying is like that's ideal, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so maybe other dentists feel this way too. What made me nervous when you were talking through that was how good you said the outcome was going to be. I tend to be fearful of if I do this crown on this patient and they've had a crown before and it's hurt, this is going to hurt for 4 months. Now I'm going to have
Oh my gosh,
post-ops.
Eric,
Now I'm going to have to deal with
stop
this
it.
and they're going to, you
You
know what I'm
have
saying? Like,
catastrophes galore in your mind. Do you have nightmares? Like, do
Yes,
oh,
he
you
does.
have,
do I
yeah?
have nightmares? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
all the freaking time.
I can tell.
Yeah.
You have like daytime nightmares and you're manifesting it to your
He's around like
patients.
worst case scenario in life, all over. Yeah.
And you married him. Wow. This is
No, it's always what
crazy.
was the
I
mantra? It was
know.
always like hope for the best, plan for the worst. That has been ingrained in my head for since I was a kid. Plan for the worst, plan for the worst. So I
I
think
think
whenever
I
something
think
like that,
you are hoping for the worst and hoping even more for the best. Like you have like this like manifestation of the worst. And so basically you just feared how good I told you how good the product was going to be. But why? If you got spinal surgery and you had somebody who's just like, "Okay, I can do your spinal surgery." Of course they're going to give us those, what's the word called? Disclaimers, right?
yeah.
Of just things that we have to sign, just, yep, a whole bunch
Yep.
of stuff. But are they going to show like a lack of faith in their own selves and their own skill and their own product that they're going to give you? No.
No, no,
And
I
you're
don't think
going
it's.
to you're going to follow the doctor who gives you the best state of mind. Like I feel like more people are drawn away from what you're saying than they're drawn to what you're saying.
Oh, totally. That makes sense. What I my no, but so my thought is I think where I like kind of value everything, and I think, you know, obviously best case patient comes in, I'm up, crown's good, everything's fine.
Mm-hmm.
I think I hate dealing with complications. And I think I inherently don't like dealing with those, and I don't do a lot of procedures, right? So like for me, my head goes to I'm not going to do the root canal. I'm not going to do root canals. I think where
Yeah.
I'm at in my, yeah, right? So like if I'm not going to do the follow-up treatment, then sometimes in my head I'll go, well shit, if this thing like goes to crap, now I've got to refer them out, and then you kind of become the bad guy, right? And or this patient's gonna
No.
be pissed, then they leave a bad review, then they're gonna like I think I have a fear of being sued, like it's like a 99% chance it's gonna happen. Like so
Okay.
I think I overestimate like certain outcomes
Yeah.
that aren't gonna happen. Right? Like
Yeah.
that, or I mean anything can happen, right? But I think in my head, I'm still doing everything the right way by the book, how it should be done. But I think, well, that doesn't matter. Something still bad's going to happen. And I think
Yeah.
that's where I think that's where my top, it's not like top fear. It's probably like that's where like at the top of the pyramid it is. So that everything trickles down from that. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, you're making a ton of sense. I'm not liking it, but it makes sense. So, I'm gonna phone a friend. I'm gonna phone my friend Alex, Dr. Alex.
Mm-hmm.
Um, do you foresee more complications with your fillings patients or your crown patients?
Gosh, it's been quite a while since my last since we've been clinical. Probably honestly, maybe more
You would
either
say
either the same
or
or
fillings.
more
She'd probably
fillings
say fillings, and the
probably.
reason I would say that is if you ask her what she
I
did,
hate filling. I
she
hate doing
hated doing
fillings.
fillings,
I don't
right?
like
So
it. I'll
like
do it, but I don't like them.
if they need to be done, they need to be done.
Yeah.
But like I would assume by her saying like I don't like fillings is probably that you're probably more good with like doing the crown, the outcome of the crown, how it works than fillings. So I
Yeah,
would,
but
yeah,
you can still so
Right.
like with the whole like over delivering and under whatever, you can still tell them after they've signed and paid you money. Like tell them when you're like ready to go or like when you're prepping or whatever and it's like, okay, this is what we're expecting for this is what the appointment's going to be like. You're going to be in this temp for a couple weeks. You might be sore, you might be this. Like tell them then, but don't tell them prior to them signing and saying like, yeah, okay, let's go ahead and do the treatment, right? I mean, you can still
Yeah.
do that, right? I mean, like for
why are
you,
you talking?
you should
Why are
still
you
do
talking to me?
that. No, no,
Keep
I'm not
calling
asking.
you.
I'm
Yeah,
saying
yeah.
you should just do
Yeah, yeah,
that,
yeah.
like so that it still like lets you feel like
Yeah.
okay, I'm not giving them, hey, there's this perfect thing without complications. Okay, there's still things that could happen or whatever, so that you feel better about it.
Yeah.
Just do it after. We all know Eric wants more friends. If you're enjoying this episode, share the podcast and then tell them to DM Eric so he can hit his quota of one new friend per day. Now back to the episode.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm saying that because fillings are way more technique sensitive, right? Fillings have way more steps that we need to do in order to make sure that there's no issue afterwards. Crowns, you just have to ensure a couple things that you're not over reducing and that your margins are sealed
Yep.
and your occlusion is not in hyperocclusion. As long as you have those three things, I mean, those just came up on the whim, then aren't you good? Aren't you solid? Way more
Yeah.
possible complications with a filling. So I don't want to focus this whole training on crowns, even though like I feel like you and I should focus it all on crowns, because that's your first lowest hanging fruit. Like when you watched my sprint, Eric,
Yeah.
you could feel like this is something super important. Um, I think the main thing for you here is that you just need to write down one thing that is a takeaway from, okay, you're imagining X and it's hindering your performance. We need to substitute that imaginary thought, that imaginary story, and we need to replace it with something positive and truthful and clinically sound, right? What you're saying is not clinically sound. It is definitely self-inhibited or self, what's the word? You're creating it yourself.
Yeah. I'm
Um,
manifesting it. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely self-manifested. And,
So I,
like I said, if you created more need in your life, like put all of your money into US Treasury bills. go put it into like these 30-day bill, 28-day bills where you're just like you don't see it. Then all of a sudden you have $2,000 in your bank account and you're like, "Oh shoot. I don't see the money anymore.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
need to actually like go produce." That feeling of need, of want, of like, "Hey, I'm a
Stress.
provider for my family."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have you read the book Profit First?
No.
Mm-mm. Which one's that?
Okay. Basically, what they say is if you own a business, you have all of this money in the bank account. And having all this money in the bank account, like let's say you don't pay yourself for 6 months and you see your corporate bank account just grow, 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 grow. And then all of a sudden you feel super comfortable. Hey, payroll's good, overhead's fine because I have this huge surplus in the corporate bank account. However, you didn't pay yourself anything, right? And so it's like the psychology of, okay, profit first. Take all of your profit that you're estimating and you create this stress inside and now you feel this insatiable desire to work and to grow it, right? All of a sudden, your performance is now going to absolutely increase because now you feel need. Eric, you've fallen into a trap that a lot of doctors do, and that's just comfort. You feel comfortable, and therefore you don't feel the need to perform and get those numbers up. So therefore, it's just kind of affecting how you approach the situation. I guarantee if you create some sort of financial stress on yourself, that is, you know,
What
don't
I'm
be,
not
that is
stressful enough. Me
responsible.
Yeah.
me me
That is
yelling at him is not stressful enough for him.
I've already
obviously
had. I
not.
thought we. I thought we established I have too many nightmares.
Obviously not.
Eric, make more money.
Yeah.
But, you need to just say like, "Hey, I'm going to diagnose and do the work that people need and stop trying to be a good guy and trying to save them money because in the long run, they're just going to have more dental work. They're just going to have more dental treatment. They're going to have more injections. They're going to have more sleepless nights leading up to dental appointments. This is not to their benefit. You're looking at cost in one aspect, in one domain, and that is money. You're looking at cost for your patient as just what they are paying. But there's so much more cost to getting dental treatment done, right? If we are doing something that has the highest longevity, then we are creating something that is way less costly. We are giving them less appointments, less reasons to have shots, fear, anxiety, time off, right? I mean, 4th of July is coming. Anybody who comes in over the next 3 days, they're going to probably have a sore tooth at their 4th of July party, right? What we want to do is we want to minimize the amount of times that people are having to recover from dental work. And if we're doing single tooth dentistry, if we're doing ultra conservative dentistry, we're not doing them good service.
Yeah, that all
Okay.
makes sense. I think what we should do is, um, let's do this because I think either for like the listeners or anyone who's kind of wants to increase their production too, right? I think it always works best when, like you said, you focus on one thing. And I think probably the lowest hanging fruit in my scenario is trying to get that kind of ratio of crowns up, right? And like you said, doing it the right way, like diagnosing what actually needs to be done.
Hmm.
And so we should do, Spencer, are you open to like in like a month, we'll do the next four. We'll do like a 4 week sprint, or I'll do that starting tomorrow when I'm back at the office, and I'll track numbers from that day to the next 30 days or
Okay.
however long we want to do it. We'll really hone in and focus on that. I'll make sure I go through and say when I see new patients, I'll mark down kind of what they needed, why they needed to do that, and we'll go through and actually like see if I was able to like improve this and help more patients and do things that needed to be done. Do you want to? Is that an okay next step, or is that
Oh, for sure. Because, like I said, I don't want today to be solely focused on crowns because I feel like there's so much to talk about. But that makes me feel a little bit more comfortable because that way we can be like, okay, cool. We focused on that one aspect.
Yeah,
Let's really hustle it. And basically, I'm going to make you an extra 10 grand this month just because of what you just said. And there's going to be a foundational building effect because you're going to create new habits and you're going to eliminate those daymares, right? Instead of
yeah,
nightmares. You're going to
yeah,
eliminate those things that are just like creating those huge roadblocks for you. I'm not saying I'm going to make you that more money, but just because you're putting yourself into that exercise, like, yeah, watch my sprint. watch my sprint again because I know it's been quite a while since you've done it. And if people are wondering what I'm talking about, it's on my website, high level dentists, plural, .com. I I do I do have, this great 3 hour resource that Eric is using, that I think you could use better. So please rewatch it. And like, did you
Yeah.
take some notes last time, or was it just kind of like
Yeah.
while you were driving?
I was no, I had it on. I wasn't while I was driving because I think I did that at first, and you told me to not do that and listen to it. So I listened to you. But yeah, I'll go through and rewatch it. We'll just put it in the show notes too for people too, so they can see because I think that would help a
Okay, we'll
lot.
link it.
Um,
Yeah, I think it'll be really cool that all 25 of your listeners will have that in the show notes.
yeah, yeah. The
But I
no,
think the bank account thing is also important.
yeah, yeah,
So I think like, even if it's like not transferring money out of it or whatever, but just looking at it.
yeah,
Because I'm a big person on, you're only going to change what you can measure, right? And if you don't know what numbers you're looking at, then like, what's the point? So I think looking at that every day,
yeah,
I'll take money out. That's easy for me to do that, and show you a low number.
yeah.
And then for
Yeah,
you to kind of have that, like, I want to
Well,
say,
yeah, because
I want to call it motivation, but I
yeah.
know it's going to be like
So
stressful at
I think
first.
too, because on my end, right? I think what can be good too, and maybe this is okay. So like on my whole dentistry journey, right, is I knew pretty early on. I think I've talked about it on the podcast. I was way more interested in like the business part of it, right? So my energy, my focus is
That
way
sounds
more.
like an excuse coming
No, no,
up.
I'm just saying like where I've always tend to put my attention has been more in like let's look at the profit and loss. Let's look at this. Let's figure out this. Let's figure out how do I get my margins here? Where could I save here? Where could I do that? So like I would focus my energy on that, and I wouldn't focus as much of my energy on some of
Top
the
line.
yeah, or like what Spencer is saying with like, this needs a crown, this needs a crown. And I think coupled with my like inherent being cheap on stuff is bad. What I think is would be helpful though with all of this is it's almost like it's too bad. You still have to do that too. And I think sometimes I would like focus on one and not the other as much. So I think what could be nice too is maybe if people who are practice owners and have done, if anyone's done what I've done and you've pretty much brought in associates who like to do a lot more dentistry than you do, and you've kind of become the lower producer in it, I think I've almost set that expectation where like now the expectation is I am just the lower producer because I hired people to do it for me, but I still have to do the work that needs to be done. I don't know. So that's that's me trying to rationalize. You like that?
yeah. You saying that you were more into the business side, and then Alex saying, "Oh, incoming excuse." Like, and I get it, but why not both?
That exactly. Yeah, I agree with you. I'm saying that is an excuse, and I think I use that as a crutch to not actually do what I wanted to do. Right? Like,
Yeah,
you always do what you want to do, right? And for me,
right.
if like in my head, that's all I'm thinking more about like the practice. Like when we went through the process of selling it, like that was so much fun. I love that. That same level of enthusiasm just naturally doesn't happen with clinical dentistry with me. It just doesn't. So
And
I'll
that's
tend,
okay.
yeah,
And
and
that's
so
okay. But it is what you're in. So while you're
exactly.
in it, let's maximize it.
Totally agree. And I think that's
Just
where
because it's not our passion, like teeth is not my passion, but it's what I know. And so while I'm in it, why not just, make hay while the sun's shining? And when you start your day, I was gonna text you yesterday because I know that you work on Mondays, and I just can be like, hey Eric, let's just like have an ultra focus day and like see how this works for our
yeah.
episode tomorrow. Um, yeah, I mean, I'm going to be out of the country for most of the month. And so next month when I come back, you can give me a report. I hope that you do at least 15 crowns in the next 4 weeks. And, whether that be crowns, pontics, abutments, just crown and bridge units. And I think that's something to where you're going to just be more brave. And you're going to have a bit more huevos to just be like, yeah, this needs a crown, and you're going to stop. You're not going to talk about possible big filling. You're just going to be like, it needs a crown. And so, therefore, when the person says yes or no, it's just clear. Okay, they said no. We move on. I'm not going to oblige. I'm not going to do a lesser type treatment. It's just this tooth needs a crown. It doesn't mean this tooth needs a crown, but if you say no, I have a cheaper and lesser option for you. No, don't do that to yourself. That creates exhaustion, that creates burnout, and that gives the patient a substandard, situation to where, would you really want that in your mouth? Would you want that in your mom's mouth or in your kid's mouth? So if the answer is not really, then just stop it. Just stop it.
Yeah.
All right? I think that's a good sign off point for today.
Yep.
Yeah, that's good.
All
All right.
right.
Well, I will talk to you when you're back in the country, and we'll do a follow up.
Yeah.
We'll do it through this will end up being like it'll probably end up being like 5 year series. It'll go the lifespan of the podcast will only continue so we can continue doing
How much
therapy
am I getting
sessions
paid
with
for
me.
this, Eric, by the way?
I know.
How much are you?
Well, I need to produce more. So like
Yeah.
this is Spencer's actually whole thing. Do more crowns and then he's gonna ask for money next time. That's what it's gonna be.
Well, I don't know any other dentist out there who coaches dentists solely on production. Like
Yeah.
I've been keeping my eye out there, and there's a whole lot of coaches, but nobody just says, I can help you to learn how to produce more. That's all
Yeah.
I focus on, is just production. And so it's just like you get what you get what you're looking for with me. So I just want to read you a text that I got when I woke up this morning. And this was from a doc in the Northeast. He said, Hey, Spencer, hope you guys had a good session last night. I do weekly sessions with coaching clients. I was wiped out after the day, but a couple more wins. It was my first month clearing 100K. Friday, we hit almost 14K in 7 hours. It was my personal best. And yesterday was 11K, my second best. Your question of, quote, where is my thousand? Quote. That's a question that I gave him. Every day go in and just be like, where's my thousand? Your question, where's my thousand, is a part of our morning huddle, and the team has been responding well. Thanks for giving truly effective and actionable advice. So, this stuff is all just mindset. It's nothing that you have to invest new equipment. It's nothing where you have to get trained on anything new. It's just approaching it differently. So, Eric, if we hang up this and you just say, you know what? I'm just going to approach it differently. That's all you have to do. It's all you have to say, and you just have to succumb to that thought. I'm going to approach things differently.
Yeah.
And then we go from there. But Alex, take all of his money away, put it into a
Yep.
savings account where he can't see it.
Yep.
Or treasury bills are paying 4.5% right now. So,
Okay.
just
Smart
just
move.
just go put it somewhere
Yeah.
for 28 days. And so that way when you check your bank account every day, Eric, you feel a little fire under your rear end and you go for it. Sound good?
Nice. Yeah, let's do it. That'll be fun.
All right.
All right.
Thanks.
All
All
right.
right.
Thanks.
Thank you guys. See ya.